Your energy flows to where your attention is directed. Are you ready to hit the road? Then first, let's register. Saint Germain already informed us about the username, New Age, and the password, a new level of consciousness. To enter the global network of positive thinking, we do not need any electronic devices. It is enough to just express your intention mentally or out loud to become part of a new community. So, we have completed the access. Wow! How voluminous, beautiful, and harmonious everything is in here. Friendly people can be seen everywhere. Everything is filled with openness, friendliness, and joy for the success of each person. And they address us only as beloved. Scrolling texts appear right in front of our eyes. Only those things happen, beloved, which you admit into your consciousness. Your energy flows where your attention is directed. You influence everything around you. Within your being, there is a control center over your present and your future. You yourselves can regulate the process of changes on the planet. This requires your concentration on the positive, on God, and on the high plane of existence. Wow! So we can manage the present and the future ourselves. But how do we do that? Where do we turn the switch? In this global network, everything is so wonderfully arranged that as soon as we have a question, the answer immediately comes. Do not get involved in negative states of consciousness. Constantly maintain your positive consciousness. Get rid of all non-divine manifestations in your life. And surround yourselves with divine models of light. You become what you absorb. If you indiscriminately expose yourselves to the flow of information, then you become the transmitters of negative information that is spread by mass media. As soon as negative information resides in your consciousness, it precipitates in the physical plane in the form of different negative manifestations sometimes later. That is how negative things reproduce themselves. But in the same way, positive things can also reproduce themselves. The controlling mechanism of all the processes taking place on the globe is within your being. There is a kind of a switch or a valve in each of you that either makes you accept the divine decisions or follow a non-divine path. Every day and several times a day, you can switch yourselves either in the divine direction or in the non-divine one. We become what we absorb, this is clear. When we eat fresh food and drink pure water, the body is healthy. When we eat junk food, we get ill. The same thing with information. Positive information gives us joy in life and confidence in the future, while if we are saturated in negativity, we begin to live in fear and feel irritated. We are unhappy with everything. We only see the bad side of everything. As a result, we cannot work effectively, be creative, and build good relations with relatives, colleagues, and neighbors. But after all, our states mainly affect ourselves, or not. It turns out that if our switch is turned to negative, we become transmitters of the negative, which will certainly settle on the physical plane. And if we turn the switch to positive, then we will become a source of goodness, light, joy, and love for the world. What is the connection between our thinking and cataclysms? The masters state that there is a direct and constant connection between the state of consciousness of people and the various disasters occurring on the planet. When people's consciousness deteriorates, cataclysms increase. This is a part of the process of interconnection of all living things. As you can see from the statistics, the number of catastrophes, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, man-made disasters, and severe weather conditions are increasing year after year. And since those cataclysms that are taking place at this time were formed by the level of consciousness that humanity had several years ago and even several decades ago, it is not difficult to predict the future growth of cataclysms, disasters, misfortunes, diseases, and other troubles. The only way out of this unfavorable situation and impasse is a rapid change in the consciousness of the incarnated humanity. A rapid, positive, and qualitative leap of consciousness, while the bulk of humankind rises to a new level of consciousness. It is a desirable and quite achievable goal. The more human individuals there are who are able to balance themselves, the surrounding people and conditions, and the greater efforts and aspirations they demonstrate, the sooner humankind will enter the passage of sustainable and stable development. So we ourselves create earthquakes and floods by our low desires, fears, anger, and negative thoughts. Why then does the media broadcast only negative information? Do they want us to create such a future for ourselves, and that we have to live with international conflicts, cataclysms, and pandemics? People living in fear, are easy to control. Such people lose the ability to discern and do a sober analysis of what is happening, and with slavish humility will accept any idea proposed by the top authorities. Why would we need such a future? If our consciousness is connected with what is happening on the planet, then we ourselves can regulate these processes. Do you remember? Where our attention is directed, our energy flows. One positive person can improve the atmosphere in his family or in a small team. We have received proof of this more than once. What if there were many such people? They would be able to improve the situation in their city, in their country, and even on the whole planet. The more positive people, the better. How many positive people are needed? When an idea takes hold of the consciousness of a critical percentage of the country's population, then it falls into the collective unconsciousness of the nation. And in fact, this idea determines the whole and the following course of events. But still, what is this critical percentage? And again, we get the answer to our question. The change of consciousness in only 1% of humanity of Earth is able to completely change the course of evolution on the planet. It turns out that only 1% of people are needed to change the situation. Let's look at some specific numbers. If 1 million people live in your city, then 1% of a million equals 10,000 people. For a world population of 7 billion people, 1% would be 70 million people. The number of people needed for the country and for the entire planet already represent a considerable volume. Where can we find 70 million positive-minded people on a planet settled with an arms race, economic crisis, and a pandemic? Still, our wise teachers consider this figure quite achievable.